Sorry, beautiful humans. I'm RidersDX, and today I've caught a case of the gamer's cold. It's a viral infection so nasty that not only is it not curable by antibiotics like every other viral infection, but it requires an amazing video gaming experience to shake the menace out. So, I wonder what we have today to accomplish our task. Oh. Well, how about this guy? I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I love SpongeBob. You said Instead of going outside and receiving that daily dose of vitamin D that probably would have been really beneficial for my mental health in future years, I remember spending after school evenings just glued to the television waiting for my SpongeBob fix. SpongeBob aired daily at 5 p.m. for the longest time, and while adult life has torn me away from that intimate connection, SpongeBob has managed to stay in my life in other ways. Video games are a huge part of that, as I became infatuated with SpongeBob games once I spotted that yellow guy in a green helmet in my local grocery store. I bet your grocery store didn't sell video games. But a chilling reality I'd have to eventually endure is the fact that SpongeBob is a licensed property, and thus, not even he could escape from churning out mediocrity. And this brings us to today's victim, me, as we dive into the absorbent disaster that is SpongeBob Heropants. Sounds traumatizing.
Someone is using the last page from a magic book to make weird things happen.
SpongeBob Heropants is based on the far superior movie Sponge Out of Water. The game takes a different approach though by taking place after the movie, where the plot is that SpongeBob and friends have to retrieve pages of a magical book that has the power to alter reality to restore the world back to its balanced state, at the discretion of
Bubbles the Talking Dolphin!
This strategy of adapting a movie to a video game is something I don't mind much at all, since a lot of movies just wouldn't suit a video game-sized adventure in their unedited state. And hey, with this setup of having to travel across Bikini Bottom and beyond to find the missing pages, we could hit all sorts of famous locations and really have an immersive SpongeBob experience.
Ah! A page! Grab it!
Yeah, is there a code check for brains anywhere nearby? Yes, upon stepping into this game, you're met with pretty much everything you're going to see in the game. Vast pieces of nothingness that go on forever and ever. The worst part is that each location in this game goes on for 5 levels, and there are 15 levels in this game. This is exactly what happened with Plankton's Robotic Revenge, but somehow this game manages to look worse? It's not like I'm expecting graphics on the level of Elden Ring here, but it certainly would have been nice of the game to emulate that colorful Bikini Bottom charm of the show that games in the past were able to do. The colors here are so monochrome, and there's a severe lack of diverse elements scattered around the few worlds here. It almost feels like a test stage of a couple coats of paint. You could argue that what they did with the music was smart in the fact that they decided to just take musical pieces from the show instead of creating their own to ensure that the game feels authentic to the show, yet somehow the music is still so unfitting with this game. The game uses a max 3 to 5 tracks from the actual show, and they just keep looping it over and over again throughout all the levels. And they're all that similar upbeat feeling sound that, while may create some of the best jokes ever birthed on the show, only serve to make Heropants a total nightmare. The music and graphics craft a whole experience that literally feels like a dream you have in a psych ward. I gotta get out of here! The only somewhat positive thing to note here is that the entire voice cast comes back to reprise their roles, but no, that ain't even it. Sure, the whole cast is here, but they all have a bunch of one-liners that are repeated constantly in the gameplay. Sometimes characters will even say the same things back to back if the right stimuli occurs in the game, and it honestly feels comedic at times, but probably ear-raping for parents. It's like they knew the game lacked that SpongeBob charm, so they tried to supplement it by shoving the characters' voices in your face.
Must resist free hugs. You are hard must resist free hugs. Oh, a heart hugger. If he hugs you, he'll never let go.
All right, I get it.
Since we've established Hero Pants is basically the equivalent to walking through a house of mirrors at 2 AM, i.e. not the most pleasant or sane experience. But what about the game's mechanics itself? The glue that's supposed to hold the package together and perhaps help excuse this horrific excuse for a presentation. Cause honestly, Hero Pants would nowhere near be the first licensed game to look like absolute piece of shit, only to be saved by surprisingly fun gameplay mechanics. In fact, that's how a lot of these 2000s platformers that were somewhat decent would typically present themselves.
Yeah, no.
Hero Pants takes the same engine from Plankton's Robotic Revenge, but instead of waves of enemies being thrown at you, they opted to design a platformer. As a result, the combat itself is even more simplified than it was in Robotic Revenge, opting in for a simple attack button and an extremely limited projectile move. A new thing this game incorporates that's actually a neat element taken from the movie is giving these characters their superhero forms, which are immediately faster and come with an attack that can be spanned and take enemies out at insane speeds. I honestly tried to use this as much as I could because otherwise, the characters are literally dragging themselves across vast lands of nothingness to get to wherever the game wants you to get to next. So at least I can sort of feel like a badass taking out these robots with my bubbles. But yes, the biggest change from Robotic Revenge here is the increased focus on platforming. There isn't any platforming that's particularly challenging here, there's just a lot of it. And it doesn't really diversify itself much beyond jumping across different platforms to get to the switch, then go back where you came from to go through that gate that, surprise, is now unlocked. Take that and repeat 10,000 times and you got yourself the ultimate Hero Pants impersonator. The worst part about this is literally how much it drags on, especially if you're not in the super form, as it literally feels like the game is realizing you're going to finish it too fast, thus it throws in a few more cliffs to jump through before you get to where you're supposed to get to. In fact, this game is very conscious of its length, and it actively encourages you to do whatever you can to elongate the experience, as if one playthrough wasn't enough.
This is typically the moment where I would warn you that I was about to talk about the ending of the game and ask you to skip to this timestamp to avoid spoilers, but since no one would be caught dead showing genuine interest in this game, I'm not going to. Says the guy who just dedicated a whole video to this game.
FYI, the game ends with SpongeBob and Co. waking himself up from a dream. Oh my fucking god, don't even ask. Once you get to the end of the game, Bubbles informs you all that there are still pages left across Bikini Bottom and asks you to go back to previous levels to collect all of them. Not an unreasonable thing to ask. Most games have something that can be unlocked from 100%ing it. However, the way Hero Pants goes about this has to be one of the evilest things about it. Firstly, throughout the levels, you have noticed these boats with a certain symbol stemming from the top. These symbols refer to a specific character that needs to break down this boat to get the secret collectible inside. So no, Patrick's ice cream cones won't destroy this boat, but SpongeBob's bubbles will. This guarantees you have to go back and play these levels again because 90% of the time you aren't going to be playing the character the level is asking you to use, and without a character switch option, you'll be forced to start the level all over again with a necessary character to get the item. And some levels have multiples of this in them, so unless you're playing with friends and you miraculously choose the right characters for every level, you will be visiting these levels again. But that's not even the worst this game does to suck you in. Another feature I saw that completely baffled my mind was that there were some pages locked behind puzzles that require a second player. Yes, there are some collectibles in this game you absolutely cannot get unless you drag an innocent bystander into this mess of a game. This is one of the most conniving things I've ever seen a game do, as not only does this game implement mechanics that force you to play it over and over again, but it even makes you drag others into it as well if you want that all so glorious 100% completion reward.
Dude, I thought you forgave me for that time I stole your kidney. Forgiveness is just another form of weakness.
And since I care for you and your mental health, here's the final thing you unlock courtesy of some sucker who actually did all this.
You collected every last page! For that, I think you deserve a little something extra.
Plankton's time machine!
With this, you can relive any part of this amazing day.
Wait. This game is still trying to encourage you to go back and replay these levels?
It also came out on this.
Yes, unlike Robotic Revenge, Hero Pants was only issued on just a handful of platforms. The 3DS version could have been an interesting one, what with there being 2 screens and all, but it's literally the exact same game, top to bottom. Only difference I guess is that the game has to load in a section whenever you get a page rather than be one continuous stage. I would say it's impressive they got this gigantic console game to fit onto a portable device, but then you think about it and it's probably much more likely they made this game on the 3DS first and then ported it to the 360. Talk about saving resources though, am I right? There's a PSP Vita version, but sadly I don't have a PSP Vita, and if you think I'm going to buy one just for this game,
Yeah, I feel manic.
but it seriously just looks like the same game, so I'm not going to shell out hundreds if not thousands of dollars just to play this a third time.
No, not again.
These are the most random consoles for this game to come out on, by the way. I mean, why not port it to the Wii where it could have been more likely to sell versus the PS Vita? Like, who even brought that?
Oh, I guess I'm dead now. So, Heropants, why did you murder me?
Spongebob Heropants very much could have killed off SpongeBob games for good. It is the very last actual SpongeBob game to come out since Rehydrated is technically a remake. But when 2015 came and brought us Heropants, it wouldn't be until September of 2021 where a brand new original SpongeBob title would even be announced. So, did Heropants do more damage than anyone could have ever predicted? Well, not really. Heropants may have been the tipping point, but this franchise was being steered towards that downfall for a good while with THQ's latter titles. Activision just decided to take this franchise, which was standing on thin ice, and just pushed it down the abyss. I'm sure there could be a factor of me just getting older and seeing the flaws of these games more as time went on, but SpongeBob games were noticeably going down quality in my eyes, and Heropants is just the final straw. Truth be told, SpongeBob's downfall in games followed the trajectory of pretty much every licensed property within its wheelhouse in terms of their video games. These companies were slowly putting less and less effort into these games, and the profits for them began to dry up. Why do you think we don't see that many movie-tie-in video games anymore? When you consider the cost of video game development now, and how much more of an impact word of mouth has on a game's success, most companies have opted not to have a tie-in game for their licensed properties.
A trend I did begin to see take form around this time was licensed games coming out that were, wait for it because this is a foreign concept, but good.
The Batman Arkham games were the biggest set of titles by far, as they were proper AAA titles but with a licensed property. These games were highly successful and critically acclaimed and began a trend of other licensed properties tackling video games with some actual effort put behind them. And now we arrive to the present where we've had games like Rehydrated, Nick All-Star Brawl, and coming soon, Cosmic Shake. While these games have not been the critical juggernaut the Batman games were, there's a noticeable increase in quality with these games nonetheless. They certainly don't feel like the soulless rush drop Heropants was. I don't think SpongeBob games were ever going to go away, but I certainly did think we'd be getting games on the scale of Rehydrated or Cosmic Shake. Nickelodeon has clearly taken notice of how profitable solid games can be thanks to social media. The hype behind Rehydrated made the game more successful than it ever could have been 5 years ago. With how long Cosmic Shake seems to be taking, one can only hope they want this game to be one of the most impressive platformers to come out to date. Heropants to me represents that final line of defense for a world where consumers put up with crappy licensed titles due to their love for the franchise. For decades, these publishers would push out shovelware that we just ate up as kids, simply because no one was right in our face telling us how terrible these games actually were. But now thanks to the heightened voice we have, players won't put up with those rush jobs anymore, thus the also classic rush video game for a movie / television show / whatever has practically died off.
I'm pretty psyched to see SpongeBob get in the hands of people that have so much love and admiration for the franchise. These people making these new games only want to see this yellow guy flourish in the world and are truly dedicated to making great games for him. Hopefully with the onset of all these quality titles, Heropants will remain a silly memory in the past, despite the amount of trauma it gives me every time it comes to my mind. Well, I guess the only question I need answered now is, do dead people need to use the bathroom, or...
Thank you so much for watching this video. Special shout out to my patrons, Andrew Coughlin, Team Rattle Sign Gamer, Trash Q, Claw84. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member and get access to a whole bunch of different perks, then please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.